Hi guys, happy new year. Welcome to my first TBR video of 2025, which is just crazy to say, but I am so excited. I love the feeling at the start of a new year. It just feels like a clean slate and I cannot wait for a brand new year of reading. I've also stocked the TBR jar with all new prompts, which I'm super excited about. So my plan for today is to pull 6 prompts from the TBR jar, pull 6 books from my TBR cart that correspond to each of the prompts. And one last thing I did want to mention before we get into it, which you may or may not have noticed this depending on how closely you watch my TBR videos, but not every book on my physical TBR is currently on the cart. I did have to make room and pull things off, so I went through and took off books that I know I'm planning to read for upcoming reading vlogs and videos, as well as books that I know I'm only going to read during a specific time of year. So like the holiday Christmassy books I took off since we just passed that season, as well as like the summery beach reads. I just know for a fact I'm not going to read any of those until it gets warmer and summertime rolls around. So if you're wondering where certain books went and why they aren't on the cart, that is what's going on. I am planning to film a video showing my entire physical TBR very soon into the new year, so be on the lookout for that as well. So with all that, let's jump right into pulling prompts for my January TBR. The most satisfying sound. And the very first prompt of 2025, a book you bought on a whim. Okay, definitely quite a few of those. From the bottom shelf, Less by Andrew Sean Greer. This is a book I wouldn't necessarily say my reasons for wanting to read it were like on a whim, because I've had it on my TBR for a while after hearing good things about it, but I saw it in a secondhand bookstore and it wouldn't necessarily be a book I would buy like new at Barnes if I saw it, but the fact that it was like secondhand, a great price, and it was on my TBR, I was like, okay, yeah, I'll pick that one up, even though it's not like a priority read, if that makes sense. So I would say this counts as buying it on a whim. The same probably goes for A Man Called Uva, because I bought this at a book warehouse and it was at a really great price. And I remember when I bought this, I hadn't read a single Frederick Bachman book yet, but I had heard great things about him. But I remember when I was at this book warehouse on this shopping trip, I was like scouring through all the books that they had and I just couldn't find anything really. So I was kind of like just wanting to leave with something. And then when I saw this one, it really excited me because it was a book I was familiar with. So I would say I picked this one up on a whim, because at this shopping trip, I just wanted to like walk away with something. Also, The Love of My Afterlife and One Star Romance. I bought both of these on a whim. I was at this really cool bookstore in a different city with one of my friends, and I don't know, I just wanted, again, to just like buy something because I was obsessed with this bookstore. And both of these books I had like seen and kind of heard people talking about, but I really didn't know the details on people's thoughts on them or what they were really about. So definitely bought both of those on a whim as well. That's really all I'm seeing on this side. Sorrow and Bliss is a lit fic book. Again, same kind of situation where I bought this secondhand online, kind of on a whim. I didn't really think twice about it. I've just seen this compared to Normal People, which is my favorite book. So I was like, maybe I'll like this, maybe I'll give it a try. We'll add that to the stack. I feel like we have some good options. For the most part, everything else on the cart I had some planning prior to buying, or it was gifted to me. So I would say out of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books, I'm gonna have to read the synopsises to see which sounds the best to me, because really all of these I don't know a ton of details on what they're about. Okay, this one actually sounds better to me than I was necessarily thinking. I was gonna kind of write this one off because I feel like we have better options, but now that I'm reading the back, I don't know, it's just clicking with me. It really sounds like this girl who's going through it. And I don't know, I feel like there's gonna be some good life lessons in here, which sounds like a good book to pick up at the start of the year, and it's pretty short too. Oh, just kidding. It's in the mid 300s, so average size book, but this one interests me more than I necessarily thought at first. I'm gonna put this in the yes pile. The Love of My Afterlife sounds like a magical realism kind of romance. I was kind of saving this one initially for spooky season. Now I feel like I'm more open to reading it any time of year, but right now it's not appealing to me, at least as much as Sorrow and Bliss was. One Star Romance, I think it's about our main character who is a romance author, and this guy that she kind of knows gave her book a 1-star review, and now they're in a wedding together and they're like paired up to walk down the aisle together because they're both part of the wedding party. We'll put this one in the yes pile too. A Man Called Uwe, I am quite familiar with the premise. I know we're following this like grumpy old man and he kind of befriends his neighbors and it changes his attitude, which, not that I'm not in the mood for this in January, but there is another Frederick Bachman book on the cart on my radar, which I would rather read over this one just for the time being. So I'm gonna put this one back on the cart for now. And Less by Andrew Sean Greer. Okay, so in this one, our main character's ex is getting married and he gets an invitation to the wedding, and I think he's like doing all these things to make his life look better, so when he shows up to the ex's wedding, it'll seem like he's in a good place. Not really in the mood for that. I'm not feeling it right now. So I think I'm between 1-star romance and Sorrow and Bliss. I'm gonna read the first few sentences and see which writing style I'm vibing with more. I do think Sorrow and Bliss is gonna be more on the sad side, which I don't know if I'm completely feeling that. 1-star romance sounds like it's gonna be a bit more fun, which right now I'm just kind of feeling that vibe. I feel like Sorrow and Bliss just sounds like it's gonna be kind of sad and more like in a depressing kind of way versus like an emotional, heart-wrenching kind of way, which is not really how I want to start out my new year. So I'm gonna put this one back on the cart. So I'm gonna go with 1-star romance as the first book I'm adding to my January TBR. I'm really excited. I haven't heard too many people talk about this book. I think the only review that comes to mind for it is Haley Phams. I want to say she gave this like a 3-star maybe. She thought it was okay, but I'm hoping I like this one more than she did. I'm hoping it's not a 1-star romance for me, but I am really excited. The premise sounds fun. Prompt number 2. A book you think will make you cry. Okay, well, earlier I was saying how I don't want a sad book that feels depressing, but I would be open to a sad book that's more just like heartfelt and emotional. So, what book do I think will make me cry? I think I actually have a couple in mind that are on the opposite side. Forever Interrupted by Taylor Jenkins Reid is the first one that I thought of for a couple of reasons. For the first one, it starts out on New Year's Day, which is perfect to read this time of year. And I know it's about our main character who loses her fiance, which sounds really heartbreaking. And honestly, I remember the first time I read the synopsis, it sounded very similar to One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which is one of my 5-star reads, one of my favorite books of hers. And it's a book that's made me cry so hard. So I feel like this will definitely be in a similar vein. So I'm gonna do one last glance at the TBR cart, but I feel like this is a very strong contender. I do think Magnolia Park's Into the Dark is definitely gonna make me cry, but I might not get another chance to add Forever Interrupted to the TBR, and I really wanted to since I know the book starts out on New Year's Day. That just makes me really want to read it this month. So this is the one I'm going to go with. I am really excited to start my year off with some Taylor Jenkins Reid because I rate all her books so highly. I love her as an author. Definitely think I'm going to have to emotionally prepare for this one though, because I do think it's going to make me cry. Prompt number 3. Dual timelines. Okay, I'm definitely going to have to flip through a few books to see if they have dual timelines, and the first one I'm looking at is The Storied Life of A.J. Fikry, which I wouldn't think has them, but it is a book on my radar for 2025. I've just heard such good things about this one, and I've heard it recommended for winter. It's also been a while since I've read a book by Gabrielle Zevin. I read Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow a couple years ago, and it was one of my favorite books of the year. So I definitely want to read this book very soon, and it's a short book, but I don't think it has dual timelines. All Roads Lead Here by Mariana Zapata was one I was wanting to read in the winter time too, because I've heard that it takes place in like a snowy setting, and it's been a while since I've read an MZ book as well. But this one does not look like it has dual timelines based on the chapter headers. The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt is a book I got for Christmas. Also on the radar for 2025, but doesn't look like it has dual timelines. Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. If I pick any Frederick Bachman book for the TBR, it needs to be this one because this has been on so many TBRs from the past year and I never made time to read it, but I really, really want to. I know this is told from many characters' perspectives, but it doesn't look like it's dual timelines. Alone with You in the Ether could have dual timelines. Dang, this is gonna be hard. I wonder if some of these books actually do, but you just can't tell by flipping through them. Surely they have headers. I feel like all the books I've read with dual timelines tell you in the header if it's like a past or present chapter. The 7-Year Slip is another one that was on so many TBRs in 2024, and I actually read the first 2 chapters and then just didn't make time to finish it, so I put it back on the cart. I know this one takes place in like 2 kind of realities, but I don't think it counts as 2 timelines because it's all happening to our main character in a linear way, even though when she goes into her apartment it's like 7 years in the past, I believe, and then when she steps out of the apartment it's in the present. I think it's all happening to her day by day, so I don't think that would count. Blue Sisters by Coco Mellers. I wonder if this one is past and present timelines. This one is told from a few different sisters' perspectives, but I don't think it's different timelines. Is Tell Me Lies dual timelines? It might be. Okay, we have a date, so this could be promising. September 2010, August 2017. We might have a contender. Actually, I don't know. I think it's just going in a linear timeline. Well, it might be jumping around. 2017, 2010. Yep, well, I'm confused. We're at 2011 now. 2012. 2013. 2014. Okay, yeah, I think this is just going... Oh, actually, maybe it is dual timeline because it jumps to like a random chapter that'll be a few years later. I'm gonna have to look it up. Is Tell Me Lies book dual timeline? Yes, Tell Me Lies uses a dual timeline narrative, jumping between the past, mainly during the characters' college years, and the present, where the consequences of their past actions are revealed. We have a contender, finally. I'm gonna see if we have any other options, but I think this is a good one. I'm gonna double check and see if the 7-Year Slip is technically considered dual timeline, because I was thinking if we couldn't find anything else that could count, but I'm gonna go with Tell Me Lies if not. Yeah, it's basically saying what I thought earlier. The protagonist is living in like a linear timeline, but it just jumps in what year it is. So Tell Me Lies is probably our best option, which I am excited about because this was a show that I really did want to start watching after hearing so many good things about it. And this one is compared to Normal People, which I don't think it's going to give quite the same vibes, but I know it's about a very toxic relationship and I'm very here for the drama. I feel like I'm going to binge this one, so I am excited to read it. Prompt number 4. A book with a character who has a unique hobby. I know in the Truly Devious series, our main character's hobby is true crime, which is pretty unique, but I will say it's been so long since I read from that series and I don't really remember what happened in the first book completely, so I would have to read like a spoiler refresher online before going into book 2. The 7-Year Slip, I feel like she has an interesting hobby in this one. I think he's a chef, But doesn't she do something interesting? I'm looking it up just because I really do want to read this. 7-year slip, main character's hobby. Oh no, she's a publicist. That's right, I remember that from reading the first couple chapters. I guess technically Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmis could count because she is a chemist and she teaches women chemistry through cooking, which is very unique, I would say. So I'll let that one be an option. Check and Mate by Allie Hazelwood. They play chess, which, I don't know, I guess that's not that unique. Blue Sisters, do any of them have unique hobbies? One of them is a lawyer. Ooh, one of them is a former boxer, which is pretty unique. And the other is a model. The sister who was a boxer works as a bouncer in LA now. That's pretty unique, I would say. But I don't know if that could be considered a hobby since it's like her job or former job. Alone with You in the Ether. I don't know really anything about the characters in this book. I just know it's like a right person, wrong time kind of story. She's a bipolar counterfeit artist. Is that considered a hobby? I guess so. That's pretty unique, I would say. I'm gonna count this one. I think that's pretty unique. I kind of want to jump back to All Roads Lead Here by Mariana Zapata because I did really want to read this during the winter. I feel like she writes pretty quirky female main characters. And he's her landlord. I don't really see much about what she does. Storied Life of AJ Fickery. He runs a bookstore, which isn't that unique. Eleanor Oliphant, I know she's a really unique main character. Sounds like she doesn't really have any hobbies. It says her weekends mostly consist of frozen pizza, vodka, and phone chats with Mummy. So no. I think Alone with You in the Ether is going to be our best bet because both our main characters have a unique hobby. He does something to do with time travel and she is a counterfeit artist. And this one's been on the TBR for a while and I don't think it's a super lengthy book either. And I would really like to read from Olivia Blake because she has a few other books that sound really interesting to me and I've heard great things about, so I want to give this one a try. It gets mixed reviews and I'm curious to see what my opinion of it is going to be. Okay, prompt number 5. A book with text or emails. So I'm definitely going to have to flip through to see any of these books have text or emails. Let's go back to All Roads Lead Here since I'm wanting to read this one. Doesn't really look like it. Yeah, there's like no kind of mixed media aspect to the book at all, just regular text. The Story Life of AJ Fickery I did see as I was flipping through. Each chapter started with some kind of little unique excerpt, but I don't know if it was like an email or a newsletter. Oh, it looks like little excerpts from a poem. Yeah, it looks like they're little excerpts from different classic books and poems to start off each chapter. Oh, you know what? That's not what it is actually, because he signs each one with AJF, which would be AJ Fickery. I think he writes book reviews. Yeah, each little chapter break starts with one of his book reviews, which is not a text or email, but that is really cool, but won't work for the prompt. Magnolia Parks definitely has text messages in the books. That is I wouldn't say a big part of it, but kind of like a fun little thing that she adds in. At the end of most chapters, there are text messages. So this could definitely be a good option. Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. Gonna go back and see. Witness Interview. Yeah, there's like interviews with the people in this book, but no text or emails, it looks like. 7-Year Slip, I feel like, since part of it takes place in the past, might not. Oh, it has letters. but that wouldn't be a text or email. Yeah, I just saw one letter at the beginning too, so that wouldn't count. I feel like the Boys of Tommen books have text in them too. I'm remembering correctly, and I do really need to jump back into this world. I'm not seeing any, and from what I remember, when they do text one another, it's not in like a different format or anything. It just kind of says like, Joey texted Aoife this. Oh wait, I grabbed my phone and tapped out another frantic text message. Ooh, that might be a spoiler, but there was a text in there. Let's check Blue Sisters 2. And if they're not in here, I think I know which book I'm going with. Sorry if the angle changed, my camera battery died and I had to find my other one, but the book I'm going to go with for the prompt of books with text or emails is Magnolia Park's Into the Dark. Definitely very excited to jump back into this world. This book was on quite a few TBRs last year and I just didn't make time for it, but I knew going into 2025 I wanted this to be one of the first books that I picked up. I am so excited for it, but also sad that Magnolia and BJ's story is coming to a close. But this book fits the prompt so well because Jessa Hastings throws so many little text message exchanges in many of the chapters and all of the books in this series. So really excited, but again, sad to end BJ and Magnolia's story. I've loved it so much. These books have been some of my favorites and I have no doubt that I'm gonna love this and it'll be a 5-star read for me. And the last prompt for my January TBR is a book set in a city. Ooh, the 7-Year Slip is set in New York City. I know that for a fact because that's where her apartment that jumps back in time is located. So this is definitely a good option. I've tried to make this work for a few different prompts already and I feel confident that I'm gonna read it in January. So I'm gonna see if there's any other books that would be a better fit in this one, but I'm feeling pretty confident that this will be the one I pick for this prompt. Anxious People, I think might be set in a city. I think it's set in Stockholm actually. Ooh, I might have just changed my mind because the first sentence of chapter 3 says it's the day before New Year's Eve, which means it takes place around the time we're currently in. And I love reading books when it's like the same time frame in real life. I'm gonna Google to double check this actually takes place in Stockholm, but could be a good contender. Oh, it's set in a small Swedish town. The story takes place on the day before New Year's in a small town outside of Stockholm. We were almost there. Beautiful World, Where Are You by Sally Rooney. I feel like most of her books, or at least part of them, are set in Dublin. Yeah, this one's set in Dublin. I'm not quite ready to read the only Sally Rooney book I have left to read yet though. Saving this for a very special time. Blue Sisters, I know all the sisters in Blue Sisters are from big cities, but I don't know where it actually takes place. Okay, they return to New York. And one of the sisters is from LA, one's from London, one's from Paris. But their home is in New York, their family home. So that could be an option as well. I don't know. Both of these I think are strong contenders to be 5-star reads. I don't think I could go wrong with either of them. So both of these books are set in New York City. I feel like in Blue Sisters we're gonna get even more of a city setting because all 3 sisters are from 3 of the biggest cities in the world. Okay, so I was super split, but I've decided on The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. Literally the only thing it came down to is that Ashley Poston already has another book out that I haven't read yet, which is a novel love story. It's also on the TBR cart, and she has another book coming out this summer. So I have more from Ashley Poston to read, whereas Coco Mellors, I only have Blue Sisters by her, and it took a few years between her debut novel coming out and her second book to be released, so I don't know how long it's gonna be before we get more from her. And I love her writing, so I kind of want to savor the little bit that I do have left to read. So I'm gonna go with The 7-Year Slip. It's high time I read this one. Hopefully I get to it in January. It's been on so many, countless TBRs. I kind of have a video idea in mind where I think I might read this one as one of the books for the video. So very hopeful that I will get to it in January, and very hopeful and confident that it will be a 5-star for me. So the 6 books on my January TBR are The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston, Magnolia Park's Into the Dark by Jessa Hastings, Alone with You in the Ether by Olivia Blake, Tell Me Lies by Carola Levering, Forever Interrupted by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and One Star Romance by Laura Hankin. So that is going to conclude my January TBR video, my first TBR video of 2025. Thank you guys so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed. As always, let me know down below in the comments what is on your TBR for the month of January. If you read any of the books that are on my TBR for January, let me know all of your thoughts, what you think I should prioritize. If you want to see anything in a reading vlog, please let me know all of it down below. And if you enjoyed watching the TBR jar help me pick my reads, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit the red button to subscribe and stick around to my channel. I have so much fun book content to come in 2025. Thank you guys so much for being here and for watching. I cannot wait for a whole nother year of reading and videos, so I will see you guys so soon in my next one. Bye guys.